Yeah, we are on distance between 2 points. So we're going to derive a formula for the distance between 2 points, given the 2 points. So assuming we have 2 points, A and B, these 2 points, A and B, we want to get the distance between A and B. So let's just draw a line connecting A and B. Okay, so let's call the distance between the 2 points. Let's call it D. That's D. So let's get a formula for that. So before then, you know, A will have both X and Y coordinates. So let's let the coordinate of A be X1, Y1, Y that of B, X2, Y2. So you notice we form a right angle triangle, yes, because the distance between these two, this place is now X2 minus X1. Assuming that we know that X2 will be greater than, so Y this is Y2 minus Y1. So this is an angle 90. So we'll have a right angle triangle. So we have 3 sides using Pythagorean theorem, yes. Therefore, by Pythagorean theorem, we see that D squared will be equal to the sum of the squares of the legs, which are x2 minus x1 squared and y2 minus y1 squared, yes, by Pythagorean theorem. We are not asked to find the distance here, we're asked to find the distance, not the distance here. So D is now equal to the square root of the right hand side, which is that. So that gives us the formula for the distance between 2 points. Yes. So that's the formula for the distance. So we don't need to waste time. Once we are given, just apply the formula, then the derivation. So look at this question. As find the distance between this and just choose any point, call it x1, y, the other one now x2, y2. So if this is x1, y1, this is now x2, y2. So applying our distance formula, which is the square root of x2, which is 3 minus 1 all squared, plus 5 minus 3 all squared. So this is 2 squared, which is 4. Also 4. That's 8. 8. And 8 is 2. So that's the answer. That's option B. Why the second question? We have to find the value of P for which the distance between this. So we are given the distance now. We have to find values of U. So we'll be using the first term, like D squared, since we are given the. So let's not just waste time. So this is now root 28 squared will be equal to, so we'll call this x1. First one, let it be x1, y1, y this is x2, y2. So I have u squared, which is root 28 squared, equals x2 minus x1, that's 3p minus p all squared plus 4 minus 2 all squared. So this is 28 equals 3p minus p is 2p, that's 4p squared plus 4 minus 2 squared is 4. So continue, we have 28 minus 4 is 24. Which is equal to 4p squared. So this 6 equals p squared, which implies that p will be plus or minus with 6. Yes, it's the square root. Square root of number is always plus or minus. So that becomes option C. Thank you. Find the distance between this point A and the point common to these two lines. So common sense will tell us that if you have two lines, this maybe x minus y plus 1 and another line, which is x plus y equals 3. So their point of intersection is the point where we want to get the distance, and at another point A. So once assuming A is now so this point, let's call it B. So once we know the point, we now use distance between 2 points to get their distance. So that is it. So the distance is what we are looking for. So to get the point of intersection means to solve x minus y. So solving x minus y equals 1 and x plus y equals 3 simultaneously. That's equation 1. That gives us the point of intersection. So by elimination, so if we eliminate by adding, so adding equation 1 and 2, you notice that implies that 2x will be equal to 4. So x is 2. So choose any of the good. Therefore, from equation 1, we see that y will be x minus 1. So which is 2 minus 1, which is 1. So want to get, therefore, what we are looking for is now the distance between 2, 1. That's the points common to the two lines and A, which is 1, 3. So we use this x1, y1, this x2, y2. Therefore, distance is now x2, that's 1 minus 2, all squared plus 3 minus 1, all squared, all square root. So that gives us this square root of this 1 squared 1. Is to square root of 5. That's option C. Thank you. Welcome back. We are midpoint on the line segment. So we know that line segment is a line with endpoints. So if you have a line with endpoints A and B, so want to get the coordinates of the midpoints. So let the coordinate of A be x1, y, that's the y coordinate is y1. B, let it be x2, y, y2. So let the coordinate of the midpoints, that's what we are looking for, to also have x and y coordinates. So let it be xm and ym. So that's what we are looking for. And looking at this, we form right triangles as okay. From here, we'll see that the distance from here to here will be xm minus xy. Yes. Y here, distance is x2 minus xm. The same logic for y. This is the distance here is y2 minus ym. Y here is ym minus y1. So for this to be the middle of this line, yes, for this to be the middle, let's call it point C, implies that from our basic knowledge, the middle means the distance must be equal. So it implies that xm minus x1 will be equal to x2 minus xm. Yes. So making xm, that's because that's what we are looking for. That crosses to be xm plus xm is 2xm. Right, this is x1 plus x2. Therefore, xm will now be the average. So again, the same thing for y. Y2 minus ym must be equal to ym minus y. For that to be the middle, for C to be the middle. So again, looking for ym as 2ym. So this is over to this is now y1 plus y2. That's the same, making ym the subject of formula. So therefore, the coordinate of the midpoint joining x1, y1, and s2, y2 is now, remember, it's coordinate pair, which is x1 plus x2, but 2 in brackets y1 plus y2. So whenever you're asked to just find the average. So example, let's look at this question. It says find the midpoint joining this and this. Therefore, the coordinate of the midpoint, don't need to waste time, is 1 plus 3 over 2, 3 plus 5. So that gives us 4 over 2 is 2, 8 over 2 is 4. So that should be option A. So why the second one? Find the value of P and Q respectively for which the midpoint of the line join. So we are given the midpoints now. So for X is, the S coordinate is 4, Y is 9. So which implies that 4, which is the midpoint we are looking for, now be x1 plus, so p plus 3p over 2, yes. And for y, 9 is the same as the average of their curve, which is 2q plus 4q over 2. So solving, we now have 4p here. So we have that p must be 2. Because this is 8p, so p is 2. This is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. So 4p divided by, so 8 over 4 is 2. And here, this is 6. So q will be 3. 18 over 6, which is 3. So the values are 2 and 3, whereas respectively. So it's option D for the total respectively. So B is for 2, Q is for 3. So we ask find the midpoint of the line joining which lie between the X and Y. So the best approach is to use diagram so that you see what is happening. So assuming I draw my X and Y axis. Okay. So if you want to locate a line, we need 2 points, and the best point to use are the X and Y intersect. So if I have this line, so I have this line. So I want to locate the X and Y because these are the 2 important points of your line. So how do you get X intercept? You know at X intercept Y is 0. So if you substitute Y as 0, we'll get the X intercept. Also, if you want to get the Y intercept, substitute X as 0. So if I substitute X as 0, here will be 5. So my Y intercept is 5. Y here, if I substitute Y as 0, we now have minus 5 over 2. That's making us the subject of formula. If we substitute Y as 0, that will happen. That's our X intercept, the same way for Y. So we want to get, the question told us to get the coordinate of the midpoint. Yes. So something here. And how do you get? So it's very simple now. We have X and Y intercept and the point, the coordinate of the point here now. The point is 0,5. Y here, the point, if we call it B, is now minus 5 over 2,0. So we want to get the midpoint of a line with coordinates A, and that's coordinates 0,5 and minus 5 over 2,0. Therefore, the midpoints, if you remember the formula, they are average. So for X is 0 plus minus 5 over 2 over 2. Y for Y is 5 plus 0 over 2. So this is minus 5 over 2 over, so we'll have minus 5 over 4. Why this is 5. So that should be option B. So it's a trick equation, but still simple with diagram. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. We are on slope or gradient of a line. Okay, we'll start with the definition. The slope of a line is just the measure of the steepness of that line. That's how slant the line is. So let me just write. So the slope of a line is the measure of the steepness of that line. It is denoted by M. Yes. It's a first letter of a French word. Monte. I don't know how to pronounce French. So as meaning to climb. Monte. Or rise. That should be the meaning. So, but mathematically, if you have a line, so let's assuming this line, we have 2 points. You know, for you to get a particular line, we need 2 points. So let's call this point A on the line and another point B. So with the coordinates x1, y1. So for A is x1, y1. For B, that's x2, y2. So we notice that we'll form a right angle triangle with this. Yes, you see that we'll form a right angle triangle. So whenever we talk about slope, we're using right angle triangles. So from here, we see that the change here is y2 minus y1. Y here, the change is x2 minus x1. So we are saying that slope is the measure of the steepness. That is M is always y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1. That's mathematical. So whenever you ask to find the slope, so once you know the coordinate of the points, so you need 2 points for you to get the slope of a particular line. So, but again, we can decide to, assuming an angle theta, the line makes an angle theta with the x-axis, yes. So we know that this line is parallel to this x-axis, this line. So we know that this angle, if here is theta, here is also theta, yes, by corresponding angle to you. So what do you have to say? By trigonometry, we know that tan theta, is opposite, which is y2 minus y over adjacent, which is x2 minus x1. So what do you observe? M is changed, that's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Tan theta is also there, which implies that we can now see that aside this, we know that the slope is also, or the gradient, remember the another name is gradient, that the slope is also the tan of the angle made by the line with the x-axis. So we have 2 formulas now. This is for the first one. This is given 2 points. Why this is given the angle. So that's the 2 formula for slope. So let's look at this question. We're asked to find the slope of this following line. Yes. So without wasting time, the slope here, M here, is changing Y. So this is minus 4 minus 0. Yes. Because here is 90, so you can use it fast. You don't need to waste time checking the point. Don't lift your pen. Minus 4 minus 0. Remember, starting from the tip, we move to the to the base. So from the vertex to the base. So changing y over changing x. So which is minus 4 minus 0 over 0 minus 3. So don't lift your pen. Minus 4 minus 0 over 0 minus 3. So that becomes that should be 4 over 3. That's minus 4 over minus 3, which is 4 over 3. Why the second one? Here we are giving angle, so the answer is just tan 60. And tan 60 is root 3. So that's how you get the slope of the line. Thank you. Here, the table is a line. Find the gradient of the line. So we know that for you to get the gradient of a line, we need either 2 points or the angle made by that line, the x-axis. So since you have many points here, we choose only 2 points. But the best points here are the ones with 0 coordinates. So I will choose this x1, this is y1, corresponding value y, this is x2, y2. That will make our solution very simple. Therefore, m is changing, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's half over 1, which is half. So that's a. Very simple. So why the other question? Find the value of a. So for us to solve this question, we need to use one knowledge that collinear points have the same slope. Yes, that collinear points have the same slope or gradient. Yes, collinear means points on the same line. So to point that line on the same line are called collinear point. They have the same slope. So from here, we can easily see that if we draw, so 90, here is 9, so that we can get the slope fast. So let's get the slope of this line using points. Maybe let's call here A. Okay, here is P already. We call here P. The coordinate here is a, 0. Yes, as you can see. So since I said that collinear points have the same point, so the slope of line joining AP now will now be 3 minus 1. That's why the coordinate here is 0, 3. So 3 minus 4. So I'm using AP. So 3 minus 1 over 0 minus 2 will also be the same. Choosing another 2 points, I will choose A and B. Now I chose A and P. So I'm choosing, so the same thing if I have 3 minus 0 over 0 minus A. So with that we can get our A. So this 3 minus 1, 2 over minus 2 is minus 1. While this 3 over minus A, therefore A is 3. So that should be option B. So that's using the knowledge of collinear point. They have the same slope. That's what the question does. Okay. We're on forms of slope. Though basically we have only 2 forms because we have 2 slant lines here. This first one and the second one. This is the horizontal line, while this is the vertical line. So formally, you don't have slope of the horizontal or vertical line. We have slant line, so it's either this or this, but though I added it. So the first one, if you notice, we use the knowledge of the angle made by the line. Yes. So assuming the first line, the angle, that's the angle, we are using the definition so that we can get a general. So here is theta. Why this is theta? So this one, no, theta is 0. Why here theta is 90. So what you have to say here, you see that from here, we see that the angle is between 0 and 90. Yes. theta is between 0 and 90, and we know that slope is tan theta. The slope of a line is the tan of the angle made by the line. So since we're on first quadrant 0 and 90, the tan of the angle is positive, so it is always positive. Okay, for the second line, we know that the angle will be between 90 and 108. Since we hold that the slope is always the tan of the angle, implies that so this second quadrant, I know that tan is negative, so that should be negative. That's why the slope is negative. Why this is m will now be tan 0, and tan 0 is what? 0. So slope of the horizontal line is always 0. Why for this? The angle is 90, the angle made by the line. So we have that the 90 is not defined. Yes, it's undefined. So let's look at this question. Okay, first of all, let's do a diagram. These are my X and Y. So again, since we have two lines, let's draw two lines. So let's draw the two lines, and they gave us the point of intersection. So here is 2, 5. And what do you observe? They said 0, as A is less than 0 is less than C, implies that A is negative, while C is positive. So what do you have to say? The slope of the first line is negative. Yes, so this is y equals ax plus b. Why this is y equals cx minus t. And we know that d and d are the intercepts. So for this one, the intercept here is d. Why for the two, right? The intercept is b. And we're asked to find d and d minus b. So we'll see that since b is greater than d, implied therefore d minus b will be a negative number. Yes, since b is greater than d. So the answer is option B. So it's a tricky question, just the knowledge of forms of slope. Thank you. Which of the following lines is the steepest line? Okay, there is a general rule that the greater the absolute value, of the slope, of a line, the steeper the line. So from here we'll see that if you check the slope here, the slope of this line is always the coefficient of x. So the absolute value of minus 7 is 7. While the second line, the absolute value of minus 5 over 2 is 5 over 2. The third line, the absolute value of minus 1 is 1. Okay. So among these, you see that this is the steepest line. Yes, indeed. So that is the steepest line. So the answer is option A. So you don't need to waste time. Okay, we're on equation of lines. So we have 5 different forms. So we'll start with the first one, which is slope intercept form. Slope intercept form equation of a line is always I equal to mx plus c. Yes, where m is the slope. So as you can see, slope is m and the y-intercept is c. So this is y-intercept ym is the slope. So we know that y-intercept means where it crosses or intersected the wires. So look at this question. If you have us to find the equation of this line. So using this formula, you can see that y is equal to m. M is slope, and slope is changing y over changing here. So as you can see, is minus 4 minus 0 over 0 minus 3. That's our slope. X plus our y-intercept, as you can see, this is the y-intercept. This is the y, which is minus 4. So this is plus minus 4. So our answer is y equals is 4 over 3x minus 4. So that's the equation of the line. Look at this way. We asked to find the equation of the line. So we're going to use the knowledge of slope intercept. So we're given many points, but we need only 2 points. So I will use the one with one of the coordinates 0. So I'll use this is my x1, this y1, this x2, y2, because it will be easy. So using our formula, that is slope of the equation of a line is y equal to mx plus c. So we have y, the slope is now changing y, so we have 0 minus 1, 0 minus half over 1 minus 0 x plus the y-intercept. Y-intercept means where x is 0. So where is x 0? So y is minus half at the intercept, y-intercept. So this is half x. So this is y equal to half x minus half. So the answer is option A. So that's it. Thank you. Which of the following represent the equation of the line? So before we go to the equation, we need to know this, that the greater the absolute value of the slope of a line, the steeper the line. Steeper the line. So that's one thing. And again, a line that slants this way, the slope is negative, so slope is equal to negative if it slants this way, or if it slants this way, the slope is positive. We've done this in forms of slope. So with this knowledge, we see that the two lines, their slope must be negative. So meaning A is off, option A is off. Remember, slope is the coefficient of x if we make y the subject of formula. So here the coefficient of x is 1 minus, so it's off because 1 is negative, 1 is positive. So, and B and C, the slopes, okay, they are all negative. So using the first knowledge, they say the greater the absolute value. So if you check, the absolute value of minus 1 is 1. The absolute value of minus root 2 is root 2. So do you see? So, meaning the steeper line is the one with the slope is minus root 2. So we take y equals this for B and y equals this one for C. So this is the blue line, because if you check, it's the steeper line. But one of them is from y, because from the intercept, the blue line, the intercept is more. Check, is above, both of them are above the y that is positive. They have positive y-intercepts, but blue is greater. So between these two, which one is greater? What do you see? So if you check B, you see that 2 is less than 8. So it's not there. So it's not possible. Since it's steeper, it should be greater. Whatever that is here should be greater than whatever that is here. So from here, we'll see that the only right answer is C. So this combination of forms of slope, and also knowing that the steeper the line, the greater the absolute value of the slope. So thank you. We're on the second forms of slope, which is double intercept. So if you have the double intercept from the equation of the line with x and y intercepts a and b is, so whenever you are given the intercepts, the x and y intercept, the equation is always x over a plus y over b equals 1. Yes, where a is the x-intercept and b is the y-intercept. So let's look at this question. So we're asked to find the equation of the line. So using the knowledge of what I just said now, the x-intercept is 3, this is a, and this is b. So we are using it now. So the answer is x over a is 3 and b is minus 4 equals 1. So we can write it as x over 3 minus y over 4 equals 1. Though we can still change it to slope intercept form. So what we are on double intercept, so it will be left this way. Okay, the third form is the point slope form. So coming to the third one, the point slope form. So we are now given the slope and also a point. So the equation of the line passing through this point with slope m is always y minus y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So that's the point slope form. So we are given a point and also we are given the slope. So look at this question now. We're asked to find the equation of this line. So we're given a point. Look at the point. Can you see it? Yes, the point is 2, 0. Yes, as you can see, that's the point. The intercept x-intercept is x is 2, y is 0. So this is a point slope form. So the answer is now y minus y1 is 0 equals slope. From here, we are given an angle. And remember, we can get the slope as tan of the angle made by the line with the x-axis. So this is 60 tan 60 x minus 2. So do you get m? The slope of a line is always the tan of the angle made by the line with the x-axis. So we have equal this root 3 times x is root 3x. Y root 3 times that is minus 2 root 3. So that's the slope, the point slope form of equation of a line. You'll be given a point, you'll be given a point and also the slope of the line. Thank you. Okay. We're on the fourth forms of slope of a line. We've done the first three. So in this case, we'll be given 2 points, as you can see, x1, y1, x2, y2. Therefore, the equation of the line passing through that point is always equal to y minus y1 or y2, depending on the one you want to use. So you can use any of the points as your y1 or y2 equals slope. You know that slope is always changing y, or changing x minus times x minus x1 or x. So any of them change. So look at this question now. We're asked to find the equation of the line passing through that. So let's call the first one, this x1, this y1, this is x2, y2. So using the formula stated above, you have y minus y1. So I'm using 1, y1 and x1. We'll do for y2 and x. Y2 and x2 will still get the same answer. So this is 3, using for 1. And slope is 5 minus 3 over 1 minus 2. times x minus 2. So this y minus 3 plus 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 over minus 1 is minus 2. So we have minus 2 times x is minus 2x. Minus 2 times that is plus 4. So the equation, therefore the equation will be y equal to minus 2x plus 7. So that's it. If you doubt, we can still use this second point. Yes, let's use the second point to get the same answer. So which is y minus, I'm using the second point now, which is 5. Equal to the slope is still the same, 5 minus 3 over 1 minus 2 times x minus 1. So this is y minus 5. This is also minus 2. So minus 2 times that is minus 2x minus 2 times that is plus 2. So we still have minus 2x, y equals minus 2x plus 7. So you see the same answer. So choosing any of the points, you still get the same answer. So that's the 2 point forms of slope. Thank you. Okay, we're asked to find the equation of the line. So using the knowledge of normal form of equation of a line, yes, our normal P from what we've done is 8, yes, but we don't know this angle. Or it's still settled because since we have a right angle triangle and here is 30, this should be 6 to make it 1, 8, yes. Therefore, the equation of the line is x cos 60 plus y sine 60 will be equal to 8, yes. So and cos 60 is half, I have x over 2 plus sine 60 is root 3 over 2, so I have y times root 3 over 2 times root 3 over 2 y is equal to 8. So to clear the fraction, multiply by its LCM, which is 2, so I have x plus root 3y is equal to 16. So that is our first answer. So coming to the second one. So that same way, we are given all the 3 sides, but we can use our 30, 60, 90 triangle theory to know which of the angle that is for that we use. So from here, since here is 12 facing 90, so here should be 6 root 3, so this is 30. And this is also 60. So using 30, 60, yes. Maybe you are not conversant with it. Let me just say, if you have a triangle, a right angle triangle, such that the angle here is 30, this is 60. If the side opposite 30 is x, the one opposite 60 will be x root 3, while the one opposite 90 will be 2x. So that's what I used here, since I'm giving 6 root 3, 12. So the one opposite 6 is 30. So that's how I know this angle. So let's continue. Therefore, the equation is now x cos the same 60 plus y sine that same 60 is equal to 6, yes. So this is x over 2 plus root 3 over 2y equal to 6. So multiplying by 2, we have x plus root 3y equals 12. So that's the equation of the line using normal form of equation of the line. Thank you. We're asked to find the shortest distance between a point and a line. And we know that the shortest distance is always a perpendicular distance. So we use this formula that the distance the shortest distance as perpendicular distance between a point with coordinate x1, y1 and a line, ax plus by plus c equal to 0 is, so using the formula is now equal to ax1 plus by1 plus c in absolute value over the square root of a squared plus b squared. So we need to get the equation of this line. So the equation of the line using slope-intercept, because here is 90. So the equation of this line is y equals mx. That's the slope is 2 minus 0 over 0 minus 3. That's the slope x plus the intercept, which is 2. So the equation of the line is now y equals minus 2 over 3x plus 2. But we need to make it in this form, ax plus by plus c equal to 0. So multiplying by 3, I have 3y equals minus 2x plus 6. So we can write it as 2x plus 3y minus 6 equals 0. So a is 2, b is 3, and c is minus 6. Therefore, the distance we are looking for. Therefore, the distance is now a is 2, so right, so I'm substituting now. Compare. A is 2, b is 3, so I have absolute of 2 times x1. So from here, the point x1 is 3, y1 is 2. So 2 times 3 plus 3 times 2 minus 6. That's absolutely over 2 squared, which square root of 2 squared plus 3 squared. And 2 squared plus 3 squared is 13. So square root of 13. Why this is 2 times 3 is 6. So 6 minus, so we're left with 6. So that's the answer. But we don't have anything like this, so we're rationalized. So multiplying by the conjugates, which is root 13. So I have times root 13 times root 13. So that's it. So that should be option B. So that's this, using the distance formula between a point and a line. Thank you. Have your angle between two lines. So we're going to get a formula for the angle between two lines. So first of all, let's draw the two lines, the angles. Each of the line made the x-axis. Okay, we have two lines, L1, L2. So assuming θ1 is the angle made by line L, θ2 is the angle made by line L2. So we're meant to find theta, which is the angle between L1 and L2, the two lines. So from our basic geometry, we know that theta will now be θ2 minus θ1. Yes, by exterior angle theorem. The sum of the remote interior equals the exterior. If you sum this, gives you that. So theta is now this minus that. So I will know that, but I will know that the slope of the line is the tan of the angle between the line and the x-axis. So which implies that if you make theta, it's now arctan of the slope. So what you have to say, therefore, the general formula for the slope for the angle between two lines is the arctan of the point. So from this diagram, we know that arctan of M2 will always be greater than the arctan. So the one that is here, the one that is greater subtract the scalar. So that's the formula for the angle between two. Alright, so let's look at this question. They said find the angle between this. Alright, so for this, first of all, make y the subject of formula. So for the line, first line, fx 5x minus 5y equals 3. So making y the subject of formula, we see that y will now be x minus 3 over 5. Yes, it should make y the subject of formula. So, and from here, the coefficient of x is always the slope. Yes, so here we see that the slope m will be 1. Therefore, theta will now be arctan of 1, which is 45 degrees. Yes. Why the second line? This is a vertical line. So the equation of a vertical line is always x equal to the intercept, x-intercept. So this is a vertical line. So assuming we have, that's the line, this xy. So this line, this vertical line is x equals to the intercept. So since we have 8 here, so x equals to 3, that's the equation of the line. So what am I trying to say? The angle made by the line and x-axis. So theta here is 90. So theta is 90. So assume since this is greater, make it 2. So this one's all 1. Therefore, the angle made by the line that we are looking for theta is now 90 minus 5, which is 45. So that should be option C. So why this? They said find the angle between this vertical line and the horizontal line. So it's 90, no need of wasting time. So let's just use a diagram. So this line x, let's take the axis for. So this is my x-axis. Y this is my y-axis. So the lines are, line is x equals to 3, meaning the intercept here is 3. Y, the horizontal line is y equals minus 1. So this should be minus 1, so this y equals minus 1. So the intercept is minus 1. So their point, notice that the 2 meet at angle 90. So this line, we extend this, so the angle is 90. So that should be option D. So that's how we find the angle between 2 lines. The x-axis. So I'm saying that theta is always arctan of m2 minus arctan of m1, where m1 and m2 are the slopes. So the one that is greater subtracts, the arctan subtracts. So this is always greater than it. So for the first line, we are given x plus 1 equals 3. See that y will be minus x plus 3, making the slope to be minus 1. Therefore, the arctan, the angle, is now the arctan of minus 1, which is 135. So for now, we don't know whether it's M2 or M1. So let's get M2 first. Let's get for the second line. We now know which one is greater. Then that becomes the M2. So for the second line, we have root 3x minus 3y equals 5. So if we make y the subject of formula is now root 3 over 3x minus 5 over 3. Yes. So what do you have to say? You see that m here is root 3 over 3. So making the slope, making the angle, slope is root 3 over 3, making angle to the arctan of root 3 over 3. And that is 30 degrees. So we can see that 135 is greater. So this is our M2, this 2. That's this M2. So why this is M1? Therefore, theta is now 135 minus that. So our answer is 105. So that's the knowledge of that line. So for the first line, let's make y the subject of form. So y is now minus x plus half. Yes. Making m to be minus 1. Therefore, theta is arctan minus 1, which is 135. So for the second line, the same thing, we make y the subject of formula. So y will now be equal to minus 3x plus 8. So making m to be minus 3. Therefore, theta will now be arctan of minus 3. So root 3, arctan of root 3 is 6. So this should be 120. So again, if you now check, you see that this should be theta 2 and 2 by this is 1. So our angle, the angle we are looking for is 135 minus 120. So the answer is 15. That's option A. So that's how we get the angle between the lines, between two lines. Thank you. Find the measure of theta. Okay, theta is the angle between these two lines. So before we can get the angle, we need to get the slope. Yes, once we know the slope, we know the angle. So for the first line, the one given, they gave us the blue line is, the equation is root 3x plus y equals 2. So using slope intercept form, making y the subject of formula, I have minus root 3x plus 2. So what do you notice? The slope here is minus root 3. Yes. Why for the second line? We're not giving the equation. So we need to get it. And it's easy. I can see this tonight. So using slope intercept, which is y equal to ms. M is the slope, which is change in y. So change in y is 4 minus 0. See change in y. 4 minus 0. That's 4 minus 0 over 0 minus 4. Over 0 minus 4. X. Y the intercept plus the intercept is 4. So that's the equation for the second line, which is y equals, that's 4 over 4x plus 4. That's the equation of the second line, making the slope to be 1. So as you can see, this is the slope of the first line is negative, shows that it's the one that is the bigger angle. Yeah, so this is M2. Let's call it M2. Why this is M. So I've told you maybe in my previous video, if you are following my videos, that the angle between the lines is always the arctan of the slope. The difference between the arctans of the slope. Yes. So for the first line, the arctan of, that's the greater one, but that's the greater. We want negative slope minus 2. Arctan of 1. So this is, so this is now equal to the arctan of minus, that should be 120 minus 1 is 45. So that should be 75. Yes. So the answer is option A. Thank you. Okay, we're on parallel and perpendicular lines. So, but before then, we need to, well, we've done it before, the angle between two lines, because we need to know the angle. Then we now know whether the angle will make it a parallel line, or it will be perpendicular line. So let's look at this. From this diagram, okay, from this diagram, assuming L1 makes theta, L1 makes theta 1 with the x-axis, while L2 makes theta 2. The main aim is to find theta, yes. So from our basic geometry, theta is always theta 2 minus theta 1. If you could remember, exterior angle theory. Yes. So that if you add the remote interior, it gives you the exterior. So let's introduce tan to both sides. So introducing tan, tangent to both sides. So by doing that, we see that tan theta will always be tan theta 2 minus theta. That's introducing tan to both sides. And from our trigonometry, the addition and subtraction formula for tan is now, this is tan theta 2 minus tan theta 1 over 1 minus, okay, this minus, this should be plus, tan theta 2 tan theta 1, yes, by addition formula for tan, yes. The right hand side is the same as this. Now, we are getting what we done before. Tan theta is slope. So for theta 2, the slope is m2. For theta 1, the slope is m1. So m2, m1. So that's very important. So coming to, if theta is 0 or 180, meaning parallel lines. So if the angle is 0, meaning parallel lines, you see that from what we've done, tan 0 is now equal to m2 minus m1 over 1 plus m2 m1. This is just the continuation of this. Yes, so if theta is 0, that means parallel lines. And tan 0 is 0, m2 minus m1 over 1 plus m2 m1. And we know for quotient to be means that the numerator is 0. So 0 is equal to m2 minus m1. That is m1 equals m2. So that's the condition for parallel lines. The slope. The slope is the same. Both lines. So for two lines, the slope is always the same thing. So why for perpendicular lines? If theta is 90, that is perpendicular lines. So we introduce theta to the 90, that's tan 90 equals m2 minus m1 over 1 plus m2 m1. And we know that tan 90 is undefined. That's yes. We know that. And undefined means over 0. Yes. Undefined in mathematics means over 0. So this is. So what you have to, we don't know anything about the numerator, but the denominator must be 0. So which implies that 0 will be equal to 1 plus m2 m1. So what do you have to say? That m2 m1 will be equal to minus 1 for perpendicular lines. So this perpendicular. So meaning that one of the slope is always negative reciprocal of the other. Yes. Yes, I'm saying that if you want to get m1, it's now minus 1 over m2. Or m2 equals minus 1 over m1. So that's the condition for two lines to be parallel and perpendicular. Thank you. Find the equation of the line passing through this and it's parallel to that. So we'll now apply the knowledge of parallel lines. So for this line to pass through this and it's parallel to that line will have the same slope as the line given. Yes. So for now, the slope m1, remember, the coefficient of x is the slope. So m1 here is 3. Therefore, m2 will also be 3. That's for parallel line. So this is now point slope form of equation of a line. Therefore, the equation of the line is now equal to y minus y1, which is 3, equals slope, which is also 3, by x minus 1. So using point slope form of equation of a line, so this is y minus 3 equals 3x minus 3. So the answer is y equals 3x. That's the line. Common equation. This is f of x. So we want to get the equation. This passes through this point, which is 1, 0, and it's parallel since the angle here and here are the same. So from the given equation is x minus y equals minus 2. If you make y the subject of formula is now x plus 2, which implies that m1 is now 1. Therefore, m2 will also be 1. Yes. So the equation of the line, therefore, the equation of the line we are looking for of f of x passing through the point. The given point is 1, 0, as you can see. It's 1, 0. Is y minus 0 equals the slope is 1, x minus 1. So the answer will be y equals x minus 1. That's the equation. Y equals x minus 1 is shifted 3 units to the left. What's the y-intercept of the resulting? So generally, if you are given the original equation of the line as y equals mx plus c. So the resulting equation after shifting either from to the left or right is always y equals ms plus c minus plus k. Yes. Where k is the horizontal shift. So the plus is left, y minus is right. So the slope is always the same. So therefore, c minus plus k is now the new y intercept. So our answer is from the equation. We have minus c is minus 1, and the shift is left. So since it's left, it's plus. So plus 3. So our answer is 2. So the answer will be 1. And to show you that it's correct, see the actual, let's plot. So this is, the original line was, see the original line, x minus y equals to 1, y equals x minus. So if you shift 3 units, 1, 2, 3. So do you see the new y-intercept, which is 2. So that's the answer. Here's the general formula. If you are given this shifting, have this, the new y-intercept is now c minus plus k. So minus if it's minus for right shift, y plus for left. So thank you. If y equals x plus 2 is shifted 3 units down, what was the x-intercept of the resulting one? So generally, if you have a line, the original line, y equals mx plus c. So if you shift either up or down, that's vertical shifts, the resulting equation will now be plus or minus k, where k is the vertical shift. That's either up or down. Plus is up. Y minus is down. So that's it. Therefore, the x-intercept of the new line is now equal to, so it's like making x the subject of formula here after you, so it's now equal to the c minus plus or minus k. Wow. And remember, plus is up, minus is down. That's making x the subject of formula if y is 0. So that's what we have. So from this equation, c is 2, so I'll have bracket 2. Since we are shifting down, it's minus, and it's 3 units, k is 3. And slope is from the line, m is 1. So the answer will be 2 minus, that's minus 5, that should be 1. So the new x-intercept is 1. That's option A. So, but look at this diagram. You see we are correct. See the original equation. Yes. The red line is the original line. So if you shift 3 units down, 1, 2, 3, see the new x-intercept, which is 1. So that's how we solve. Thank you. Yeah, we're asked to find the equation of f of x. So, as you can see, the two lines are perpendicular. And we know that perpendicular lines, the product of their slope is always -1. So if we call the green line L1, slope of L1 now, which is M1, is now changing by changing s. So the change here is 1 minus 0 by 0 minus 2. That's minus half, which implies that M2, that's the line we are looking for, the slope is now -1 over the slope of the first one. Yes, that's perpendicular line. Product of their slope is always -1. So I have -1 is half, so it's 2. You now have to find the equation of the line. Therefore, the equation of the line fx is using this now point slope form. Yes. So fx passes through, f of x passes through -2, 0, which is now y minus 0 equals the slope is 2 times x minus -2, which is plus 2. This y equals 2x plus 4. So that's the equation of the line we are looking for, f of x. So this is just application of perpendicular lines. Thank you. And points to form the equation for. What's to find the perpendicular bisector of the line joining these 2 points? So the perpendicular bisector, since the lines, let's find the perpendicular bisector of the line joining these 2 points. So common sense will tell us that these 2 points, assuming one is here, the other is here, I want a perpendicular bisector. This is a line now, the 2 points, line joining the perpendicular bisector must be a line 2, yes. And for it to bisect the 2, that line is passed through the midpoint. So this is the middle. So that's it. So we need to get that midpoint. And also get the slope of, because if you know the slope of AB, if you know the slope of the second line, that's the bisector. So first of all, let's get the midpoint of AB. So midpoint of AB. So using the midpoint formula, which is the average of their coordinates for x, coordinates for x is 2 plus -5 over 2, y for y is minus 3 plus 1 over 2. So, which is 2 plus 2 minus 5 minus, so we have minus 3 over 2, why this is minus 1. So the midpoint is now minus 3 over 2 comma minus 1. So why the slope of line AB. So line AB, let's make it slope MAB. The slope is changing y. So if we take this to be this x1 y, this is x2 y. So changing y, which is 1 minus 3 y, which is minus 5 minus 2. So I have 4 minus 7. So minus 4 over 7. That's the slope of this first line. Therefore, the slope of the second line, yes, which is the perpendicular bisector. Therefore, m of the second line, so maybe let's call it 2, is now minus 1 over slope of the first one. Yes, condition for two lines to be perpendicular, the product of their slope must be minus 1. So we have minus 1 plus minus 4 over 7, which is 7 over 4. Now, what we're asked to find is the equation of the line. Therefore, the equation of the line using points group form, therefore, is y minus y1. Here is now minus 1 equals the slope is 7 over 4 as x minus that's 3 over 2. 9 by 8 to clear the fraction 8 and that is have 8y. This is plus 8 equals 14x plus 14 times 7 times 21. So the equation we are looking for will now be 14x minus 8y plus 13 equals 0. Yes. So that's the equation. That's the answer. And to show you that we are correct, let's look at the real diagram. Let's look at the real diagram. So look at this diagram. So this is the actual diagram. So we are correct. The equation of this line is 14x minus 8y plus 13 equals 0. So it's a tricky equation, but still simple. PQRS is a trapezoid such that P, the coordinate is 1,3, Q 6.5, and angle PQR is 90. If R is on the x-axis and PS is perpendicular to the x-axis, find the area of the trapezoid. So let's draw a diagram. That's the new diagram. So from the equation, so they said PS is perpendicular to x-axis, so this is 90, making the coordinate of x coordinate of x to be the same as P. So this should be 1, common. Maybe let's call the y coordinate, we don't know. Let's call it F. YR, we don't know, we know the x, we know the y coordinate, but we don't know the x, so let's call it y is always 0 since it's on the x-axis. And for this to be a trapezoid, as you can see, this line is also parallel to this. Yes, that's the condition for trapezoid. It has one pair of parallel sides. And since this is perpendicular to PQ is perpendicular to QR, so the slope, the product of their slope will be minus 1. So for perpendicular line, the slope of PQ, let's use MPQ, is that of QR will be minus 1. Why? Perpendicular lines. Product of their slope will always be equal to negative 1. So what's slope of PQ? So we use changing wherever changes. So we'll have 5 minus 3 plus 6 minus 1 times y. This is 5 minus 0 over 6 minus p. That's multiple times 1. This is 5, 5, 2. So we'll have this goes over. So I have p minus 6. Now we are left with 2 here. So see that p will be 8. Yes. So the coordinate of the s coordinate of r is 8. So to get y for what? That's for x. The y coordinate of vertex s. So as you can see, the lines are parallel. So we use that same property. That's MPQ. The slope of PQ will always be equal to the slope of SR. Yes, that's for parallel lines. Their slope are the same. So the same thing, the slope of PQ is from here, this is 2 over, so this 2 over 5 is equal to the slope of this. So remember, we've known the value of B, which is 8. So changing wherever, so I have a minus 0 over 1 minus 8. B is 8, so 1 minus 8. So solve for a. You see that a will be equal to this minus 7, so I have minus 14 over 5. So we've gotten the values of a and b. So let's now get the area. For us to get the area, we need the length. Yes, we need length PQ, length SR, and length QR. So let's get the distance now, which is the length. So PQ, length PQ, using distance formula is square root of 6 minus 1 squared plus 5 minus 3 squared. That's using distance formula, which is square root of 29. Yes, but this is 25 plus 4. That's 29, square root of 29. Y SR, same thing, square root of 1 let's 8 minus 1 squared plus 0 minus 14 over 5 all squared. And this is 7 squared. This is 14 over 5 plus 1. 14 is 7 times 2. So I can write this as 7 squared plus 14 is 7 times 2. So I have 7 squared, 2 squared over 5 squared. So we are still correct, because I want to solve it faster. 14 is 7 times 2, so the square affects both. So 7 squared, 2 squared. Right, so if we factor 7 squared, square root of 7 squared is 7. So we are left with 1 plus 4 over 25. 4 plus 4 over 25. So 1 plus 4 over 25 will be 29 over 25, and square root of 25 is 5, so we're left with 29. Square root of 29 over 5. Yes, that's the simplest one possible. YQ the distance, the same, we still apply the distance for, which is square root of 8 minus 6 all squared plus 0 minus 5 all squared, which is also square root of 20. Right. But this is 4 plus 25 is 29. So we've gotten what we need for the area. Therefore, the area of a triprism is always half the sum of the parallel sides. So the sum of the parallel sides are PQ and SR. So this plus 7, 29 over 5 times the height. The height is QR, which is 20. And if you need to, you can factor the 29 in both, yes. If we factor it, we are left with 1 plus 7 over 5. And 1 plus 7 over 5 is 12. 5. So this is 20. And 29 times 29 is 29. So I have half times 29 plus 12, 5. So which is equal to 2 in 12, 6. So 6 times 29 is 174 over 5. So that's it. Square units. So that's the area of this trapezoid. Thank you. 3.1.
Okay, we have the midpoints of the side of a triangle are 1,5 minus 1,3 over 2 and 3,5 over 2. That's the coordinates. Find the vertices of the triangle. So the first thing I have to do, let me sketch it. That's the diagram, so you can see. So let's complete the triangle. So we'll locate the midpoints. Okay, so we have the triangle. So let's locate the vertices. So let's call this A, let's call this B, let's call this C. So why the midpoints are this, this, and that. So the coordinates are 1, this is minus 1, so this should be, this is minus 1, 3 over 2. So let's label it A, B, C, D. D is minus 1, 3 over 2, negative, positive. So why this one is 1, 5, so this one should be 1, 5. So y f should be 3, 5 over 2. Yes. So we've located the midpoint. So using what we've known before, if you want to get the midpoint of a line segment, so we know that the midpoint of any line segment, midpoint of x1, y1 and x2, y2 is always the average, which is x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. So that's the formula we're going to use here. So for this one, we'll see that the midpoint of AC, the midpoint of AC is now equal to, let's call the coordinate of A, let's call it XA, YA, YC, XC, YC, and B, XB, YB. So we see that the midpoint of AC, let's just start solving direct. You know that, so that we won't waste time. So you know that the midpoint of AC for x coordinates, you see that XA plus XC over 2 will give us 1. That's using this formula. The average, this is like x1, this is x2, y1, y2. So that's it. So which implies that XA plus XC subscript C is equal to, let's call it equation, let's call it equation 1. So again, we see that the y coordinate, which is YA plus YC over 2, is 5. So which implies that YA plus YC is equal to 10. Equation 2. So we are done with AC. Let's move to AB. So we see that the midpoint of AB, which is now XA plus XB over 2, is equal to -1. As for X, which implies that XA plus XB is equal to -2. We call it equation 3. YYA plus YB over 2 will now give us 3 over 2. So which implies that YA plus YB must give us 3, equation 4. So we are done with line segment, as the side AB. Let's look at BC. So we see that XB plus XC over 2 will give us 3, as you can see, which implies that XB plus SC is equal to 6, equation 5. So finally, for this equation, we have YB plus YC over 2 must be equal to 5 over 2, which implies that YB plus YC must give us 5, equation 6. So we now use this 6th equation to solve for the unknown, which are the coordinates. So we can see I have XA here. Which one has XA again? See, S subscript A. So I can eliminate XA by subtraction. So if I do equation 1 minus equation 3, I will eliminate XA. So let's move to the next page. So I say we should eliminate, let's eliminate X subscript A. So you see that from equation so eliminate. So if I do equation 1 minus equation 3, you see that XA minus XA is gone. We have XC minus XB equal to 2 minus minus, that is 4. So let's call it equation 7. So which one has S subscript C and B? Let's check C and B. Do you see it? So I can solve equation 5 and 7 simultaneously. So how do you do it? We can eliminate B by addition. So let's do equation 5 plus equation 7. So I now add XB plus minus, that is 0. YSC plus SC is 2 SC. 6 plus 4 is 10. So what do you notice? XC is 5. Therefore, from equation 7, we see that what? We can get XB. SB is now SC minus 4, which is 5 minus 4, which is 1. So we've gotten SC, SB. So let's check XA. So we choose any, okay, equation 1. Therefore, from equation 1, we'll see that XA will be 2 minus SC, which is 2 minus SC is 5. 2 minus 5 is minus 3. So we've gotten the coordinates of X for each of the vertices. So let's get for Y. So again, we can eliminate. Let's check. Okay, CY. So I can eliminate A again. So if I do equation 2 minus equation 2, this is minus. So if I do equation 2 minus equation 4, we now see that YA minus YA is gone. We have YC minus YB, which is 10 minus 3, 7. So let's call it equation 8. So again, we'll look at which one has YC and YB. Equation 6. So what do? I will add. So if I do equation 6 plus equation 8, so let's add. YB plus minus YB is 0. YC plus YC is 2YC. Y5 plus 7 is 12. So which implies that YC is 6. Therefore, from equation 8, we see that YB is YC minus 7, which is minus 1. 6 minus 7, which is minus 1. So we'll now go back to get our YA. So from equation 2, we'll see that YA is 10 minus YC, which is 10 minus C is what? 6. So 10 minus 6 is 4. So we've gotten everything. Therefore, the coordinate of the vertices of the triangle are, so let's use white. So for A, what is XA? SA is minus 3 and YA is 4. B, what is XB? XB is 1. YYB is minus 1. And finally, the coordinate of C is XC is 5, 6. Okay, so that's the answer. So it's a very tricky question. Thank you.
So they say two perpendicular lines intersect at A with coordinate 2, 4. If one of the equation is this, of the lines is this, find the equation of the second line. So let's just draw a diagram. So see the line, the first one, the red one, they intersected at 2, 4. So they are perpendicular. Yes, two perpendicular lines. So the first one, the equation, the first line, L1. So let's call the first line L1, while the second one is L2. So once we know the slope of the first one, we can know the slope of the second one. So M1, the slope changing y/. So if we make y the subject of formula, let's first make y the subject of formula. So for the first line, this is x minus y, plus minus 2. So if I make y the subject of formula here, so I have x plus 2. Therefore, the slope of the first line so M1 is the coefficient of x after making y the subject of formula. That's the slope. Therefore, M2 will now be minus 1 over 1, which is minus 1. So since they are perpendicular, the product of their slope is always minus 1. So the first one is 1, the other one minus 1. Therefore, the equation we are looking for is now the equation of the line passing through their point of passing through the point of intersection. Yes, as they said, they meet at that point, so the two passes through that same point with slope. So this now a point slope form of equation of the line with slope -1 is, so using our formula y minus y1, which is 4, equals the slope -1 times x minus 2, x1 which is 2. So this is y minus 4 equals minus x plus 2. So the answer is now y equals minus x plus 6. Yes. As you can see, the answer is correct. Do you know why? Because the y-intercept of the second line is 6, and from the diagram, you can see it's 6. So we are very much correct. So thank you. Find the equation of g of x. So we're looking for the equation of the green line. And if you observe that this line is perpendicular to that, and it will help us to get this. So once we know point C, we can now get the equation of the line passing through this point with slope that is perpendicular to this. So we need to get the slope of this line and also this point. So we need to get point A, B, and C. So that's it. With that, we can solve it. And how do I get point A, B, and C? If you notice, the 3 points lie on the curve. So and it's a quadratic curve of this y equal to 4 minus x squared. So let's get it. So at point B and C, y is 0. Yes, that's the x-intercept. So at B and C, y is 0. So we have 0 equals 4 minus x squared. So if we solve for x, we get plus or minus 2. Yes. So we've gotten this point, and at point A, x is 0. Yes. So y is equal to 4. So we've known the points. So this is now this 5, this 4, this 6, 2 plus 2, y this is minus 2. So on point A and B will help us to get the slope of this one, because if we know the slope of the second line, that's f of x, we've known the slope of g of x, because they are perpendicular, we use the relationship. So we see that the slope of, so let's calculate slope. Therefore, m is the slope. So slope of line AB is now, you remember, changing y over changing this, which is 4 minus 0, but 0 minus minus 0. So that gives us 4 over 2, which is 2. And since slope of AB is 2, implies that slope of line, that is the line we are looking for. Okay, let's g of x, slope of g of x is now -1 over 2. That's the relationship between slope of two perpendicular lines. Their product is always -1. So we can get the equation now. Therefore, the equation of the line we are looking for, therefore, the equation of g of x is, so we use point slope from the point we are passing through is 2, 0, yes. It's now equals to y minus 0, that's point slope form. So the point is 2, 0, that's at C. At C. And the slope is -half. That's x minus 2. So we have y equals -half x plus 1. So that's the equation of the line. So this combination of quadratic, that is knowing the x and y intercepts the quadratic function, and also point slope form with relationship connecting two perpendicular lines. Thank you.